Mullah Nasruddin was in a forum with a group of learned pundits, but somehow he couldn't get his argument across. He could not get agreement with what he was saying. So he decided to make a point about it. And the next day, he got on his donkey, facing its tail, and he rode the donkey up and down in front of the forum door. And when all the pundits arrived, they said to him, "Mullah, why were you riding your donkey back and forth facing the wrong way?" The Mullah drew himself up to his full height and said, "Could it be that I was facing the right way and it was the donkey that was facing the wrong way?" And it was said the other day that we've created a little conundrum or a poser in asking the questions that have been asked over these last days. And one of those questions was, where are we and what is it that's present when our karma's been burned, our conditioning's been stripped away, and our belief systems dropped? And that other question has been, what is our relationship with life now? But this is our dilemma, because when we've burned our karma and stripped our conditioning and dropped our beliefs, we're like an onion that's been peeled. And when the onion's been peeled, there's nothing but a space left. So we can ask ourselves, how does the space, which is really nothing, fit in to something? So how can it be that we, or the space where the onion has been, can have a relationship with that which is life, its events, its experiences? So perhaps we have to turn the question around and ask ourselves, what is life's relationship to us? So there's a story about a monk who had been in the monastery for many decades, and he'd studied the sutras, he'd studied the teachings about non-himsa, non-hurting, the great learning about compassion for life. And he did, after those decades, he did come to what is called realization. And he vowed that if he ever attained this, he was going to write a book, because all the books he'd read did not fit the bill, so to speak. So in this state at which he'd arrived at, realization, whatever that means, he sat down in that space, in that realization, and he indeed took a blank book and he opened it up and made himself available to write. And he did. He wrote just one word in the middle of the first page. And as he wrote that word, a woman in the house across the road who had a crying child but was studying her device, so to speak, dropped her device and picked up and held in her arms her crying child. In a far distant place, a being who was about to commit suicide changed their mind and sat peacefully. The next day, the monk sat down again and turned the page, and resting in that state to which he'd attained, he again took his pen and wrote a word in the middle of the page. And in a far distant place, a ship that was foundering at sea suddenly found the wind dropping and was able to find balance, steadiness again. The great storm that was raging, bringing snow and sleet and wind to a far distant location, stilled to become quiescent and quiet. A man who was about to jump off a bridge had a man come by and grab his hand, pulling him back from the brink. The next day, the monk again turned the page, and in that state wrote a word. And so the story goes on. Each day, miracles happened all around. The monk took his book after writing a word each day for a whole year, and no publishers would take it up to print it. But the monk knew, and he handed his book around, and what it contained changed the lives of all who received it, and much, much, and many, many more. It became famous throughout all the world. What is that word that comes for us, that we write each moment, each day of our life now, having arrived at this place where we've been stripped, we've been emptied, even shattered and broken, or like the onion, the layers of karma, conditioning and belief stripped away from us, to leave that space. What is our life now? What is life's events for us? What word do you write on every page, in every moment? Where do we rest now? What is life's relationship to us? What happens when life enters the space where the onion has been? Desireless, no judgment, no desires, wants, needs, ambitions. What is that word that you would write? Or you do write? What rises up for you on your lips in this place?